and welcome to this playoff edition of GameTimePA-TV. I'm your host, John Buffone, and throughout this episode, we're going to be checking in with our friends in York and Lebanon to break down the most interesting playoff matchups in their area. Let's start right here in Lancaster, though. While 11 teams made the District 3 playoffs this year, only one game has two LL teams. That, of course, will be number 9 seed Garden Spot at number 8 seed Mannheim Central in the AAA bracket. Garden Spot won the regular season matchup by a touchdown, but they shouldn't expect to be the favorite in this game when they travel to Mannheim. Returning for the Barons is tackling machine linebacker Justin Moreno, who has missed a majority of the season with injury, as well as wide receiver Dan Wiedereck, who has missed every game up until last week. Garden Spot will have an advantage at quarterback with senior Mitch Martin, who was able to defeat teams with his legs as well as his arm. Meanwhile, Mannheim Central could be without starting quarterback Tony Steffieri, who was carted off the field last week in their game against the Lanco. Regardless of who's taking snaps for Central, they are a run-heavy offense and will rely heavily on speedster Damon Camacho as well as the bulldozing capabilities of Moreno. This should be a pretty physical contest and could be won in the trenches and has all the makings of a great game in Mannheim. Now let's see what's going on in the playoff picture in Lebanon and York.
Hi, I'm Pat Huggins in Lebanon along with Andrew Callahan, and not one but two Lebanon County teams hosting district first-round games this weekend. Northern Lebanon will entertain Conrad Weiser, and Anvil Cleona hosts Newport. Andrew, your thoughts on Northern Lebanon's district start here this weekend?
Well, Northern Lebanon's going to be their third home game in a row. The previous two were dominant showings, first against Donegal up by 20 after the third quarter, and then a 71-14 shellacking of Columbia on senior night to clinch their first outright Section 3 title since 1991. For me, Northern Lebanon, it comes down to their triumvirate on offense. You've got Ray, the quarterback, who's been very explosive, Trader at running back, and then Mason Yosted at wide receiver. All of those guys have had plays of at least 20 yards or more in those past two games. I think if they can keep rolling, there's no reason Northern Lebanon as a team should keep rolling. But I think it'll be closer than the previous two meetings. Obviously, come district playoff times, it's going to be good matchups all around, but I think they eke one out and take it away in the second half.
Agreed. Should be a good game, and I think Anvil was pretty well prepared for district play this year. Good, solid running game, strong physical team, and a good defense. And should be an interesting matchup with Newport. We'll have to see that Anvil the 4 seed, Newport the 5 seed. So, and I believe they both have identical 8-2 records. So it should be a good one Friday night in Lebanon County.
Hey, this is Matt Gould coming from Bermudian Springs, where the Eagles, who have obtained the number 2 seed in the District 3 Class AA playoffs, are getting set to play host to Schuylkill Valley on Friday night. And Steve Navaroli got a chance to talk with Eagles coach Sean Defoe about the matchup, and here's what he had to say.
What's unique is in Week 11, very rarely do you come across something you haven't seen at some point in the season. So whether it's defensively or offensively, you've typically seen something similar at some point. We played Schuylkill 2 years ago in a playoff, so we have a little bit of familiarity with them there. They're playing the same system and doing the same things offensively they were doing then. So that helps a little bit to look back. And then, every chance we get out and see an opponent or potential opponent, we do. So 2 weeks ago, Saturday afternoon, we were down at Schuylkill at Y Missing, and we got a good hands-on look at them there because we thought it was a possibility, and certainly thought there was a possibility at some point we could run into Y Missing.
Sure. Now, Bermudian is one of 10 York-Adams area teams in the district playoffs this year. 9 of them are from the YAIAA, including Biglerville, which is the 8th seed that will have to travel to Berks Catholic in the AA bracket. Single A is off this week. We have York Catholic and DeLone Catholic, which have qualified for games. They'll play next week. Redland is the one Mid-Penn team in the York County, which is qualified. But also in AAA, we have Gettysburg will be playing host to Milton Hershey on Friday night. And West York will be playing host to Donegal, and Eastern York, the 16 seed, will be making their first district appearance since 1990 when they traveled to face the defending champions of that district, the number 1 seeded Bishop McDevitt Crusaders. Also in Quad A, we want to mention Dallastown is playing host to Hempfield, and Red Lion as the number 15 seed after dropping a spot will be heading up to Governor Mifflin, the number 2 seed in the Quad A portion of the district tournament.
Well, that about wraps up this edition of GameTimePA-TV. Thank you for tuning in. For updates on all your favorite playoff games, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And as always, enjoy the games this weekend.